I will get to all of your questions. I promise. Okay, maybe. We'll get there. Hey, Sarah. Okay, audio, video. We're good. Okay. So, welcome everybody. That was a bit of a challenge and a trick to get through. But I will add that video and the links as we go. There will also be added some links. We run entirely off of donation. Our workshops are free. We never require any kind of payment, but donations are welcomed. They are what helps us run and be able to do what it is that we do. So, from here on, we are going to be talking about the paranormal and beyond. That is going to cover a little bit of everything. Before, I've done Paranormal 101 workshops. We've covered Demonology 101, investigating equipment, things of those nature. And occasionally I do kind of come back around to those again as we go. Just this way, for anyone who's just joining us, they have the opportunity to rewatch those videos. And maybe I've learned something new along the way, and I get the opportunity to share with you guys. I am constantly reading, and the library probably hates me at this point because I spend so much time there. And I rent a lot of books, and I never return them on time because I'm still reading them. So, with that being said, one of the main topics that we were going to talk about today was dust versus orbs. I am going to attempt to be able to share some pictures and video that we have captured. We've recently done some investigations where we've got some pretty compelling footage, I feel. We recently were out at Hotel Josephine in Holton, Kansas this past Tuesday into Wednesday. We were out there with News Channel 27, KSNT. They were absolutely wonderful to work with. They were so kind. And I think we made one of their skeptics a partial believer. So, that's pretty exciting too. So I'm looking forward to being able to work with them and everybody else. Uh, we liked it too. We're hoping to be able to go back. And we're also hoping to be able to do an open investigation there at some point where you guys, as the public, will be able to come and join us on an investigation there. We are still working out those details. Currently, right now, our next open investigation that you can join on is going to be the historic Wolf Hotel in Ellenwood, Kansas. It's about a 3-hour drive from here, so it's a little lengthy, but I promise it'll be worth it. You will not only be investigating the hotel with us, but also the haunted underground tunnels that are connected. Now, this could potentially be one of the last times that anybody is able to investigate them. Because of renovations, they may have to shut down because they have not had the opportunity to raise enough funding to keep it open, which is where we come in. All the proceedings that we collect from the tickets are going to be turned around and donated right back to them, so that this way it helps try and keep them open, and it helps be able to give people the opportunity to experience a piece of history. So hopefully you guys will be able to go and purchase those tickets. You can go through the event page. You can go through Eventbrite to purchase them. Right now they are $50 a person, but that covers again the hotel and the tunnels. So it will be an 8-hour investigation. We'll be starting about 9, 10 o'clock at night, and we'll be going until about 4 or 5 o'clock the next morning. So I'm excited to be able to do that and have that offered for you. I will tell you guys now, we just started our Patreon page. And if you sign up for the top tier, you will get a special discount on those tickets. The next big thing is on Halloween. So from 11:59 to midnight, you will have the opportunity to get a significant discount where tickets will only be $25 a person. Yeah, we're going to cut it in half, do 50%, but you're going to want to keep tabs on all of our pages because we won't release that link to get the discount until Halloween. So definitely I'm looking forward to that and to being able to see you guys there. Our next one after that right now that's confirmed will be in June of next year. We will be traveling back to Missouri, which is where we're from. And we will be going to one of my favorite locations, which is the Lost History Museum, Dallas Mines, Missouri. I have had everything from a full body apparition come up to me to large rocks thrown at me. I've had an axe fly off the wall and land where I was standing. So yes, there is a lot of activity, and I'm really excited to be able to share some of that stuff with you guys. Okay, so now that I've done all that out of the way, there are comments. I am trying to keep up with you guys, and it's just not possible. Um, so we are definitely working on finding a way to keep everybody updated on these events. We are working on a website right now. We do not have it live, just because we're still trying to work out some of the kinks that go along with it. But the best place to be able to stay up to date on upcoming events, where we're going to be, how to be involved in my workshops is going to be through Facebook. That right now is the main location to go, and then I will put any links or anything like that in there. And if you ever have a question or are not sure, feel free to reach out to me through private message, and I will be more than happy to answer any questions. Uh, I will tell you, Rachel, with being able to see an apparition in person, for me, fight or flight definitely kicked in a little late. While my stepmom took off running the other way, it was probably only a few feet in front of me before I decided to turn around and book it. So I wish I would have stayed to kind of see how all that played out, but that didn't quite work. But that was the one and only time I've seen shadow figures and things like that. It is definitely nerve wracking, though. I can tell you once it kind of dawned on me what was happening, I was scared. But do keep in mind, I was also, I want to say 16 or 17 at the time, so I was still fairly young. I was a baby investigator. For those that have not met me before or had the opportunity to attend one of these workshops, welcome. I have been doing investigating for just shy of 18 years now. So it started when I first came to live with my step family in St. Louis. We had a family run team, and we did that for ever, pretty much. But my first experience actually goes back to when I was maybe about a year old. We moved into our family home where my grandparents still currently reside. And there was a spirit by the name of George. He was a trickster in every sense. But he kind of became my best friend growing up. He would move everything from circus tickets to the coffee pot. And if you didn't have time to deal with his shenanigans, you just stomp your foot, tell him, "You know what, George, I don't got time for this." Turn around in a circle, and as soon as you turn around, you'd be right in front of you with an idea every time. So there's a lot of stories from that from growing up. I've always been sensitive and been pretty aware of the paranormal, which is something that we'll go into. Is talking about abilities such as clairvoyance, audience, mediumship. Those are all things that I've had the wonderful pleasure of being able to work with, as well as working with others who have those same abilities. And let's see what else. Um, when we were talking about dust versus force, so the biggest thing that we run into is like, I don't have a diagram on this laptop. My laptop got stolen, so it has everything on it. Yeah, so the biggest thing that we have to keep in mind when we're looking at photos or even video is dust when it's an old location. We did an investigation recently at Theodore's Bridge down, Wichita, and the riverbank was full of sand, and that caused a lot of false positives for orbs as well. But water particles, bugs, anything with wings, spiders, they can all appear like orbs. And the biggest thing that you want to look for is something that does not follow the standard trajectory of something that is falling in a downward motion. A lot of orbs, when you see them, will be very bright balls of energy, but they will change direction. It could be traveling one way and for no apparent reason shifting to another way. So those are a few things which we captured. I think the one when we were at Hotel Josephine. We were downstairs in the basement called the doll room. Very creepy room. If you don't like dolls, you will not like this room whatsoever. Okay. I am going to attempt to share that video if I can find it. Hmm. Absolutely. So I will be honest with everybody. I do not know everything when it comes to the paranormal or abilities, but I would be happy to at least be able to point you in the right direction or help with what I am capable of doing. But sure, feel free to message me afterwards. Okay. So let's see. We can cover the biggest thing that I will take when it comes to doing an investigation is respect. Respect is key. If there is any disrespect of the property to the spirits that are there or to fellow investigators, I will have no issue in removing said individual from the location. We do not instigate, we do not interrogate the spirits because at one point they were never like that. They were humans, potentially, as well. And it's just not right for them to do that. We are there for the science. We're there to try and make communication. We're not there to piss them off. So respect is key. Okay, so I think we'll be able to pull it up on this. I will have to say this. That's not one. Do you guys have any questions? Oh, you just okay, awesome. If you want to throw that video to them, then I will cover everybody else on this one. So this one does not include a room right now. We're trying to figure out how to do pricing. Yep. So you can rent a room, but it would be a separate purchase outside of the investigation. Yes. Yes, it is. We're originally from about an hour south of St. Louis in Jefferson County, Justice, Missouri. All right. Bonterra, who's our his family, is from I lived in Minnesota for a little while. Yeah. And then my family currently lives in South Carolina. Yeah, I know. Yeah, we did a few investigations in oh, this computer just works on me. I am so sorry for those that are watching. Please bear with me. This is just a little hectic this evening. I am trying to catch up on everybody still. Very cool, my favorite good. Yeah, you'll come across a lot of tricksters. We captured quite a few EVPs. I will most likely have to go and add those video clips later on because we are still trying to go through them. But we will try and get this up there so that you guys can look through it. We had 14 hours worth of video and audio that we had to go through on that last investigation. So it does take me a while because as much as I love this is not my 24 hours. So it doesn't take me. Yeah, it takes me with it. So for those that did get to see the live reviewing of the footage, there was one instance where we were in the ballroom downstairs, and the spirit box came across in such heart attack. And when we were viewing the audio, it kind of sounds like there was a heartbeat in the background as soon as it said that, which was very odd. Tried to be wrong and tried to explain like why we were hearing that, but right after the fact, it stopped. There's no reason to do it again, even with this movie. Oh, I am so sorry about that audio. Yeah, somebody else talk on another video. I was having enough. I will have to continue with on that one because that one I'm not familiar with at least for that term. Okay, that's totally just is happening. So you can be able to say that. So that one was just a while ago, because we were using the ghost tube at the time to record. So I turned on a phone camera light up when we did that one. Yeah. So thankfully, I do have a nice fancy little phone. And I will say that it has been amazing to use the video quality, the lighting, everything. Yeah. So this is what I've been using for pretty much everything. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not really fond of the whole thing. Hmm. Well, I've heard of it. I'm not all that convinced of it. So I've had experiences with just a simple senses being affected from smelling of cologne or perfume. Those are pretty predominant signs. Temperature changes, we understand that. Clear audience, the ability to hear things. I had a very interesting phone call. At the time, I had decided to pick up the phone, and when I listened to the house phone had been listened to the dial phone. But I listened to the dial tone, and when I picked it up, there was none. So I kind of thought maybe somebody else in the house was on the phone. And I waited, and there was just silence. And then all of a sudden, I started hearing two females conversing back and forth. But when I started to realize that they were my grandmother and my great grandmother, who were located both in Springfield, Missouri, there was no possible way that I was hearing their conversation. What I didn't know at the time was that this conversation that I would later quote verbatim back to my grandmother on was a conversation they had had about 2 weeks before that encounter of me hearing it. What I also didn't know was that at the time of hearing it, my great grandmother had already talked to me about the quiet. So the conversation that I heard was actually the last conversation that they had on the phone before we talked. There was no way 2 weeks later for me to be able to hear this, be able to hear that, and being able to have verification though that what I heard did take place was quite fascinating. Um, Being able to see this has only happened on probably 2 or 3 occasions of being able to see past life projections. For me, it very much so appears like an old-fashioned projector, like an old movie reel. I can still see what is physically here at the here now, but I can also see it overlapping and pulling out with a different view from a previous era. And I think that's way to kind of explain that. I'm still learning on that aspect of what it is exactly that I'm able to do. Um, as far as mediumship, I have been able to see, feel, hear, communicate with the other side. It does not happen at the snap of my fingers. Just because I say, hey, is there a ghost here, does not mean that I'm going to have an immediate response. It doesn't work that way. It more or less happens on their time. But one thing that we also have to understand when we're asking questions and doing EVP sessions is that, I'm sorry guys, with audio going in and out on this. So when you're doing EVP sessions, is that time plays out differently between them there where they're at and the here and now. So sometimes your responses are going to be delayed. Sometimes you're not going to get a response at all. But it's also where you want to go back and listen, because just because you haven't heard it with your physical eyes, you haven't heard it with your eyes. Your physical ears doesn't mean that you haven't captured it on recording. Oh, everybody. Um, Yeah. So Ghost Tube is actually a program that was created by another couple in Australia. They also have a YouTube page called Amy Trip. Her husband Jared is the one who created the app. He also goes into explaining how it is that this app uses the mechanics that are in your phone for them to be able to communicate. And that it is not a pre-programmed type situation. It actually bases it all off of the GPS coordinates, that compass that is put inside of your phone. And based on the magnetic field, it's able to conduct and create those waves. They also had two other programs connected with it, the SLS. This has been okay. Like most SLS cameras, I had a hard time with them because you can get a lot of false positives with them. The page is called Amy's Trip. Um, we'll put the name in the chat for you guys. Um, so we also have what is Vox, which you're most familiar with the S box, when you're hearing the static in the back. I can't stand the static. A lot of people believe that helps generate enough energy for us to be able to create words and speak. I think it makes it a lot harder to understand anything that's being said. So one feature with Vox that I really like is that you can take that static out completely, or you can turn it all the way up on high. So it is entirely up to the user on how they want to do that. So that is just one app. I will state just like they do. I will not claim that this app is 100% able to prove that there is paranormal activity. There's no way of doing it. All of the equipment that we use is for scientific purposes. And that's exactly what we're doing. EMF recorders, the EVP recorders, infrared, IR, it's all equipment and that we use to try and prove or disprove the paranormal. So with that, I feel so bad that they can't hear me very well. Sorry guys. Just trying to pick up on all the questions. Um, so we also have the regular S box as well that we use. It's been okay. I can't say that's probably my favorite. We did use the SB7 while we were at the Hotel Josephine. We also used the REM pod while we were there, and we had quite a bit of activity. So that was really nice to be able to use. So 27 was created when we were at Hotel Josephine on the stairs, and the news channel that was there, KSNT, is channel 27. Which was funny because earlier it had said station and 47, and one of the meteorologists, Ryan, had corrected them, saying that it's not 47, it's 27. So for it to later come up that it was saying 27 while they were on air, just seemed to be a really kind of funny. Well, okay, so when the word 27 and station came across, you were using Ghost Tube at that time. Yeah, that was Ghost Tube. We used those for pretty much our entire investigation that we did. Um, so if you go at the top right corner of GhostTube, there'll be like a drop down menu, and from there you can go into adjustments and settings. And one of the first options will be static, and you can adjust the ball as needed. I might, I'll probably add the link to their YouTube channel that walks you through how to use GhostTube. This way, you guys have the opportunity to do that as well. That can hopefully help. So, um, asking questions when doing an EVP session. I really try to refrain from asking the question, "Are you dead?" Like, do you know if you're dead or how you died? Because not always are the spirits aware that they have died. Some are still living in their last memory. I guess is the best way to explain it. Um, trying to figure out how to word this. The best way to explain it would be residual energy that we experience in a lot of investigations. Most times when we have activity, they're not always intelligent, which means if we ask a question, sometimes our responses are very off the wall and they are not direct to the question that we asked. Some people will witness an apparition walking through a wall, and for no apparent reason because maybe there was nothing there on the other side at this point. But at their point in time when they were alive, there is a possibility that maybe there was a door there at one point and they are still reliving their steps. That can also go hand in hand with residual energy as well. Yeah, I'll do a video or I'll add their video that shows you Sarah. Ironically, talking about cast iron beds, we had the word iron come up a lot while we were at Hotel Josephine. Yeah, the word iron came up several times. How do you do with us? I really feel bad that this is not awkward in the way I wanted to. Unfortunately, we tried something new just because of how many people were interested. But I do think I'm just going to stick to a Facebook Live next time. I'm not very happy with this. And the audio is horrible, and I'm so sorry. Um, let's see. I feel like I missed some questions in here. I do just want to tell all of you guys thank you for those that have followed us and kind of helped us get up off the ground. Without you guys participating and being a part of this, none of this would be possible. To be able to offer these open ghost hunts and to be able to continue to do these workshops. Unfortunately, this workshop next time will be a little bit more well put together with the programs that I'm used to using. Um, let's see. So everybody uses different equipment. We talked about the S-Box, temperature guns, REM pods, EVP recorders, EMF electromagnetic field devices, dowsing rods, pendulums, a little bit of everything that can be used. My favorite, though, would be trigger objects. Everything from Blue Buddy or the Scare Bear to little cat balls that light up. Those have always been really great, too. We enjoy using those. We have a laser grid pen, but there is a lot of equipment out there, and a lot of it will break the bank if you try to purchase all of it in a fairly short period of time. But I like to keep things pretty simple. We even have a cassette tape recorder because I just like going old school with things. So they're a little bit harder to convert over to be able to analyze, but I feel like they're a lot. Uh, they have a lot more substance to them simply because they can't be altered in the way that audio can be nowadays. I do try to keep things as authentic as possible. We are slowly starting to expand our equipment though as we go, just because we want to be able to provide as much evidence as we possibly can to everybody. We've got about 25 minutes. Um, was that our intro video? I think so. Um, that's the website that you can go to and look at the site. Mm-hmm. Shadowland. Yep. Yeah, it takes you somewhere else. Yeah. Okay. So we use that website, the Shadowland, quite a bit to find locations, especially because being in Missouri, we knew most of the locations in the area. We've lived there for so long. We both grew up and lived there most of our lives, so we've kind of covered all of it. But moving out here to Kansas, it was a whole new world. Other than cornfields, I don't think we knew much of anything else. So it definitely was a bit of a change. I'm still trying to figure out where towns and counties are to be able to go and find these locations. So we did team up with a group uh, last week when we went out to Theodora's Bridge, and that was awesome. We had a really good encounter. I hadn't either. That was my first time being out there and hearing about it, but I guess it's more of like a urban local legend more than anything. Um, we did some Estes method. For those that aren't familiar with the Estes method, it is when you have pretty much take out all your senses other than hearing. A lot will wear noise canceling headphones. I want to say soundproof, but noise canceling headphones, and then they will blind themselves. This way, you kind of go into this trance state while using the S box, and then you're able to repeat what you hear come through the S box while a second individual in the room is asking questions. But they're unable to hear the questions that are being asked, so your responses are more likely to be genuine than they are to be subconscious. So we found that we really like that method a lot. As far as batteries being drained, always. I have a utility box that I carry around that has two cases, one with AA's and one with AAA's. And then we also carry the batteries as well for our equipment. We go through them constantly. That's probably one of my biggest expenses is just in batteries. Um, yeah. You'll notice on our videos as we start putting them out from Hotel Josephine, we had to do many takes just simply because our batteries kept draining so fast. We'd run upstairs, pop the other battery on the charger, and it wouldn't even be halfway full before the other one died. And these are cameras that last us 6 to 8 hours easy. So the location was definitely pulling a lot of energy. But when we go back and look at the evidence that we were catching, we had quite a few EVPs. It's not surprising that our equipment was being drained so bad, just because they were using all that energy to be able to manifest in their own way. So one key thing that I like to say is just because a house is old doesn't mean it's haunted. That's not to say that your location isn't. But I would definitely try and reach out to a team that's in your area, um, and see if they can come in and do a kind of a pre-investigation just to see if they might find anything. But I would start keeping a record, a journal of some sort with all the accounts when they happen, and just try to rule out any possibilities that could be happening. We lived in a 100-year-old house at one point before moving here. The windows were original, the floors were original, and that creates a lot of creaky floorboards, a lot of wind drafts, a lot of things that can be dubbed paranormal, but in reality do have some basis that can be explained. So, not to say again that your location isn't haunted, but I would definitely try and do some research and see if maybe there's any records through genealogy or anything that states that maybe something happened there that validates this claim. I am going to leave the last 20 minutes at this point open for questions. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments, and I'm going to try and go through and answer them as best as I can. A dog? I have not. We don't have any. We all have cats. And I don't feel like they would do very good on an investigation. We hear scratching on the walls and it'd be them sharpening their nails. So, no, but I have seen other investigators who have taken dogs with them, and they do seem to be very receptive. I was just watching another paranormal team recently. I forget who it was, but they were investigating a barn that had horses. And there were shadow figures up in the loft, and the horses were reacting to that. Yeah, I can't say we have any permanent residents in our home, but we do get quite a few passerbys that just kind of drift in and out. And I really think that's just because of me. But they're like, oh, hey, somebody can hear us and talk for us. So, one thing that we do is we do a cleansing before and after. We also create our own protection vials that we use on investigations and that we sell as well. Um, so being able to do that really kind of helps. We've also done a prayer before and after each investigation. Um, some people will go and shower after investigation just to wash off any residual energy that might be on them from that location. So those are all good things. Meditation is another great way to prepare yourself before and after as well. So we do. We have smudge sticks that we use. Um, we've got a few different variants of smudge sticks, just kind of depending on what we use. So our location, our division here in Kansas is actually our second division. We still have another division in Missouri under the same name. Uh, our division out there has 5 on the team, and each one of us comes from a different walk in life. We each have a different belief system, everything from paganism, Catholic, Christianity, Buddhist, atheist. So we kind of cover the entire range, and that gives us the opportunity to help more people and be able to offer them the resources that we need. We have a father with the Catholic Church out of Tennessee that helps me do my Demonology 101 workshops, and he's able to answer questions that I can't. Demonology is not my strong suit, though I do a fair amount of research and reading up on it. I would not even begin to claim that I know enough to be able to handle a case like that. Anytime that we have something come across that may potentially be dangerous or we need more investigation done into the case, we then reach out to the churches as well as sometimes we'll consult with a psychologist in order to get a psychological reading. Um, the reality of it is that sometimes medications can alter one's way of thinking and their mental state. And medications can cause hallucination. So, with as much respect to our clients as we can possibly give, those are aspects that we have to look into in order to be able to prove or disprove the claims of the paranormal. Um, so footsteps are pretty common for activity. Voices and footsteps, I'd say, are probably one of the top two. Um, I mean, with that, it's just it can be anything. Especially if you have dogs in the room or in the house. Sometimes you can hear them walking as well, but usually you hear their nails. But dogs and animals in general, as you were saying earlier, are very receptive to the paranormal. So them being able to respond or alert to something that you might not know is there is quite possible. And we really do rely on their abilities to help us. Um, I've had a few doors open and close on me before. Hi, 13 spirits. So being able to have activity like that, I was saying about the axe being thrown. I was talking about the rocks in what was called the Rock Room at Boston Crew Museum. We were doing a communication session. We were standing in a circle. These rocks were on shelves behind us, and by the end of the night, we walked out with bruises up and down the back of our legs because these good-sized giant rocks were being slung by an unknown force off, and they were just pelting us and the back of our legs. So that was a more painful investigation than anything. There's the crying chair upstairs. Some locations you'll go into, and sometimes they're fond of the women. They like to touch the hair or the shoulders or mess with clothing. And then you've got others that dislike men, for example, and they'll make them violently sick, or they'll make them cry, like the crying chair at Lost History Museum. It will fill you with this overwhelming sense of dread, and you will have to remove yourself from the location. Excuse me. So, being able to, like, thank you, Spirit. So, investigating is the glamorous, if you could call it that, side of the job that we do. It's probably only about 10% of what we do. The rest of it is mostly based in our research ahead of time, going through genealogy, doing research of the location, news articles, the history of the property, who it belonged to, any accounts of things that have happened there, or even previous owners. And then the other part is going through the hours, the grueling hours that it takes to go through evidence. We just did that 14-hour investigation, and it will easily take me about 2 weeks to go through everything. And that's not even being able to cut and splice it in the ability to be able to show you guys. So I do tend to post those up unedited from beginning to end, just because sometimes you guys see things that we don't. Sometimes we overlook things. Sometimes you're just scared at the screen for so long that it just kind of all blurs together. So we love hearing everyone else's opinions and output on what they heard, saw, and being able to document those in the comments allows us to be able to go back and review it. Any other? We got any other questions? Yes. Well, yes. Uh, but we smelled perfume after. Wow. Yeah, we had this overwhelming, in layman terms, the smell of a fart. Yeah. That just kind of appeared, and no sooner did it appear, it disappeared and it was replaced almost by like a gardenia type smell. And we might we did touch that on camera. It was in the middle, right before we started filming live with 27. So it was interesting to say the least. Not my favorite smell that I've come across, but I've had everything from cigar smoke, floral. Um, I mean, you name it. It's probably happened at some point. Sulfur. We've had sulfur too. Yeah, we don't smoke either. So we've had a few instances where we've smelled smoke in our home, and neither one of us smoke. And you do come across, Penny was saying that at the family residence, very friendly and talkative. Um, a lot of spirits that you come across are friendly. They are very nice. Um, sometimes they just want to talk. You'll hear us time and time again. Do you have a message for us? That we ask. Do you have something you'd like for us to relay? Because sometimes maybe they're trying to relay a message to a loved one. And if we can at least help in that sense, because we have private residences where when we go and we ask, what do you want us to do to help you? Do you want us to remove and help them cross over? Or do you just want to know why they're here and be able to coexist with them? And that really makes a difference on how we move forward with our investigation. So, for those that want to get involved and are just starting out, the best thing I can say is attend workshops, network with other paranormal investigators, either in your area or online. There are plenty of us out here who want to help, and you might hear the phrase para unity, and that is really a big thing of coming together. And we are all striving for the same goal to collect enough scientific evidence to prove or disprove that the paranormal really exists. Our goal right now, it is known as the paranormal, and our goal is to eventually turn it into the paranormal, where it has then been scientifically proven and scientifically accepted within the paranormal and scientific community. Yeah, so doing research, books at the library, internet, and then networking. That's going to be your biggest thing. Go on ghost hunts. Go with other teams. Team up with them. See what they do. Ask questions. That is the best thing you can do is ask questions. And like for me, if I don't know the answer, I'll do my research. I'll reach out to others and I'll find the answer. And then I'll bring it up and be able to get back to you. Exactly. There is no such thing as a stupid question, except the question not asked. All right. Exactly. Exactly. So you're right. When it comes to pets that have passed on, they can come back and visit. I have had a few of my pets come back to visit me on several occasions. Sometimes before we got our cats that we have currently, um, sometimes I would see just a fleeting glimpse of them walking across. I had one cat who was very specific about sleeping on my chest, and at night I could feel paws coming up the bed and then stop when they got to my chest. Um, it's never really a bad thing. I welcome it. It is calming. It's soothing to know that even after death, they choose to come back and still want to be close. For me, they're my protectors. They're my guides. Now, mind you, this cat is 25 pounds. And when this cat was sitting on our chest that night, our cat was 8 pounds, and this 25-pound cat did not feel like 25 pounds. And in the little bit of low light, it very much looked like our cat. So we think of that moment that our deceased cat had come back to visit us, and to spend time with us, because when she passed away, my mom started to have accounts of seeing her up on their headboard, and she would come and visit, and she had a very distinct look about her. That's a good question. I am still trying to figure that out too. Sometimes I I set rules, I set boundaries. Doesn't mean they're going to listen to me. I mean, I can't ground them to their room. It doesn't work that way. If they'd start paying rent, that would be even better. But I do talk to them. I do let them know, hey, I would appreciate it if you would or wouldn't do this. Out of respect, we can coexist, but we need to move. Um, I will have to look at that, enlarge it, Penny. But no, I have never seen anything like that before. So he prepared a photo of what appears to be an orb, but in a diamond. I've never seen that. I've always seen circular or oblong type orbs. So I would definitely need to look at that and enhance it, because it's a little tiny picture on my screen right now. Okay, so that's a good question. How do you know if a spirit is good or bad? Um, a lot of it can come down to the energy that is put off, what is said, how you feel. When investigating, an investigator really does have to be open minded and open to all of their um, senses. Um, Usually, if there's something negative there, you're going to feel a very heavy presence, very unwanted. Um, Things might happen that make it very clear that you're not wanted there. It's really a gray area. There is no black or white when it comes to dealing with the paranormal or dealing with spirits. They could be considered bad or just angry, because of how they died, or because they don't understand why nobody can hear them. There's a lot of different factors that we still just don't understand for that. Um, but intuition. And intuition is probably an investigator's best friend. Follow your intuition. If you're not comfortable with something, then I would remove yourself from it. Okay, so Penny just shared another one that's a very bright orb. So one thing that I'm going to see about doing a session on, I've heard a lot about it. I've never actually talked about it, but there is a phenomenon that is called the black-eyed kiss. So I've heard stories. I've never experienced it, but there are people out there that have, and these entities will appear as young children in period type clothing. They seem very out of place, maybe a dress in the middle of winter. But they usually show up around 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and when they do, they have solid black eyes. They make you feel very uncomfortable. They stare at you, and you'll have this feeling like you don't want to look them in the eyes, but they will ask to come in. And most people turn them away, but there have been some, and they say that if you invite them in, you're inviting in your own death. So this is one of those I have never personally experienced, but if there's anyone else in this chat that has, feel free to share your story with me so that we can see about talking a little bit more about that. I would love to hear some of your guys' experiences. Uh, for those that feel like there may be a spirit wanting to come in and up there, you can do a cleansing, a saging of your home, of your property. Uh, tourmaline? Tourmaline. The tourmaline stone. If you bury it at all four corners of the property, that is still to come out negative energy. It's black tourmaline. It's said to be able to absorb it. Also puts up protection borders pretty much. And we use those occasionally on investigations. Sometimes we'll do a private residence and we'll put those in all four corners. Yep, yep. You can kind of decide like who's able to stay, who's not. Salting. There's nothing wrong with doing salt in the doorways and the windows. I've done that, and I usually do that about once a week. And then I sweep up any energy that's collected, and it goes right outside into the yard. And then I relay down and reset. So lemons have been used. Jars of sand. So negative energies or even demons are said that before they can enter a residence, they have to count every piece of sand in that jar. And obviously, that would take forever. So those are great ways to be able to keep negative energy out of your home. So much talking, and you can't talk afterwards. All right. Well, it is 9:02, so this would conclude this workshop. Again, I am so sorry for the audio issues that we have been having today. The next one will be better, I promise you guys. So for those that attended, thank you so much, and I will see you guys next month on November 12th. We will be talking about magic and magical properties when using them during an investigation. So I look forward to seeing you guys then. Bye. Yes, that's till June.